Thanks for staying with us. So Baringo County has been experiencing periodic ethnic conflicts related to livestock theft and banditry attacks, which significantly impact education, frequently displacing students and resulting in schools being vandalized or closed entirely. Over 20 schools in the vast county remain closed 4 weeks after schools reopened across the country owing to increased banditry in Baringo North and Baringo South. Some schools reopened, but enrollment was quite low. The fate of over 5,000 students is unknown. Experts say prolonged school disruption will have a severe and long-term impact on learning achievement. NTV's Rose Wangoi toured the area, and here is her story, Deserted Dreams.
Chepkesin Primary School in Baringo North constituency has been a no-go zone since 2021. What would normally be filled with the shrills of children, now an empty and deserted school compound. Families who resided in the nearby villages moved to other places since it had become a battlefield.
Siku moja walikuja kupika shule Chepkesin. Saa moja na kitu. Walikuwa wanapika marisasi, walikuwa wanataka kuhamisha watu ndio wasikae hapa.
Learners were forced to hide under their desks for over 3 hours as bandits engaged herders and police officers in a fierce gunfight in the school compound.
Mwalimu alipigwa risasi. Asubuhi alikuwa akikuja kuelekea shule. Baadaye shule ikafungwa. Sisi tukatoka.
The school is well built with modern classrooms fitted with a power system. The solar system used to power the school, it was full of light, but now the light is no more. Armed bandits struck the deserted school, vandalized doors and windows, destroyed learning materials and made away with some of the property. They also torched books before cutting away the school's solar panels. The water tank was not spared either. It was also destroyed. Development partners had put up boarding facilities to ensure pupils from this area prone to banditry attacks and the nomadic way of life stay in school. Beautiful hostels, but of no use now. There are bullet holes in almost every roof in the school. Chepkesin Primary Boarding School was once a vibrant institution which hosted over 400 pupils, but the school remains deserted after parents and their children fled the volatile region and moved to safer areas. Chepkesin is still insecure. For security purposes, we were accompanied by 3 police reservists. For Elijah Chetalam, it was not the first time his homestead had been raided. It had happened countless times, forcing him and other villagers to flee until normalcy returned. But in 2021, the attacks were so fierce that they vowed not to go back anymore.
Bandits waliingilia tulipokuwa tukilisha wanyama huko chini. Nilipotoka huko chini, nilikuja na watoto wangu kupika njiani sasa kwa sababu nimekuwa milima hivi. Sasa nikaanza kuanguka. Sasa mtoto anaanza kusema papa. Alafu tunakimbia kutorokea nini? Adui kwa nyuma huko. Watoto mmoja anasoma hapa. Wengine wameenda various schools kwa sababu ya hii nini maneno ya insecurity. Hata mimi sasa siishi kwangu. Nimetorokea kwingine kwa majirani.
In January 2022, a police officer was killed by armed bandits who invaded the area.
Sisi tukapiga nduru. Askari walipokuja, wakuja kupambana na hao kwa sababu sisi hatungekuwa na nini? Mabunduki ya kupika hao. Kupika hapo askari mmoja aliuliwa hapa chini.
Residents say initially there was a police camp in the area, but after persistent attacks, the camp was disbanded.
Na siku moja kuna nini askari ya NBR waliletwa. Sasa hiyo askari ya NBR waliporutishwa. Sasa hao wakapata nguvu ya kuingilia sisi.
That sparked a massive exodus of more than 3,000 villagers, with residents fleeing to safer areas.
Serikali waweke kambi huko. alafu watuongezea ni NPR, alafu watu wanaanza kurudi huko walime.
Learners of Chepkesin Primary are being hosted at Kamwetio Primary School, some 10 kilometers away. Paul Yatich is a senior teacher at the institution. He gazes at what could be a class filled with pupils, but the sight of the empty classroom is disheartening. An enthusiastic teacher who was eager to produce quality pupils, but 3 weeks after schools reopened, Yatich is facing uncertainty.
Now this is the beginning of the first term. We have not yet received the learners. They have not yet reported.
The consequences of the perennial insecurity in the area are still being felt.
Towards the end of last term, we lost a neighbor here due to this guy was gunshot, and of course he had no animals. He was just resting. He was preparing for his meals, and that one now made the whole community members now to move, because they felt that they could keep on being ambushed all the time.
The school has a population of 112 learners. After being displaced, majority of pupils from adjacent villages flooded Kamwetio Primary School.
The aspect of hosting those schools is a challenge. Like we don't have enough staff room to use for the teachers. We don't have the classrooms for all the learners. If you look at these temporary classrooms here, they are too small. We don't have desks. We are using tables. Some of these learners just stand. We take them as they stand because we don't have enough chairs.
4 schools in Baringo North have been direly affected by recurrent banditry activity and completely shut down.
Insecurity has really hit this place, and it has crippled the education seriously. Like the question of on-off, where we close today, and then we learn next week. Now, when even teachers go, and some teachers come from far, it takes them time to come. Even the learners, of course, with their families, when they move, it takes them a long time also to come back. Now you find between the time you are hit and the time you recollect yourself until you are right in class again once more, it's a big challenge. We want to use the assistant chief and Wasewa Mita to inform them that to come back to school.
One of the most affected institutions is Chepkewe Primary School. The area is characterized by rugged terrain with hills and valleys that offer bandits a perfect hideout from where they emerge to ambush security personnel and civilians. The journey is not for the faint-hearted. To access the area, residents have over the years relied on police escorts to avoid being attacked. The village school Chepkewe Primary was shut down in April 2016 after persistent attacks by bandits. 8 years later, the school is still closed with facilities vandalized.
Walivamia sehemu hii, wakachukua mifuko, wakaua watu, mpaka hata wakaua chief hapa hivi. Kwa hivyo hapa tukawa na hofu, hata kukucha kuishi ni ngumu sana.
The Madwold school is almost falling apart. The school is in a state of disrepair. It has seen little or no renovation over the years.
Ilikuwa inaenda mpaka darasa la 5 kwa wakati ule. So wale wakubwa darasa la 6 na kwenda mbele walikuwa naenda kwa shule hizi za Chepkesin ambazo vile zimeafektiwa na hii mambo ya insecurity. Ilikuwa nzuri sababu watu walikuwa karibu, sasa walikuwa wanaendelea kutengeneza mali kipomoka kidogo wanashindilia kwa matope hiyo. Sasa hii ni vile imewachwa, sasa inaanza kupomoka. Wanda hata mifuko wanaingia huko wakati wanalisha mchana, wanaingia huko wanakonga, alafu inapomoka.
Once a lively village with over 80 households, Chepkewe is now a haunted and miserable shadow of its former self. All these villages are now completely deserted, with what used to be houses and social amenities now overgrown with vegetation.
Unapoona hali ya insecurity haichakuwa vile. Kawa imetulia, lakini bado watu wacharudi, mifugo tu wanakuja sehemu hizi kwa wakati huu kwa malisho peke yake.
Tulikuwa tukilima wimbi na mahindi. Tulikuwa tukipata chakula ya kutosha ya kulishia watoto. Lakini tangu tulivyohama, mtoto sasa kwenda shule ni shida. Naona hata kuanzia hiyo 2016 tangu tuame hapa si watoto wote waliingia shule. Kuna some dropouts wengi sana.
Pupils of Chepkewe are now being hosted at Baringo Primary School.
Tuko walimu wakuu wawili ambao tunatumia hiyo facility moja, sema ofisi moja, lakini tumechikawa. Kuna sehemu yangu, labda mwalimu mkuu wa shule hiyo ako kwa sehemu yake ambayo ni ofisi yake. Kwa sababu kila shule inapata mahitaji yake ya Wizara ya Elimu. Yes. Kwa darasa watoto wanasomea darasa moja. Sema kwa mfano darasa la 5 hivi. Sasa watoto wako kwa ndani hapa, lakini kwa ile tunaita nini? Records. Kila mtu ana records zake. South Sudan, yes. Tuna strain hizi facilities kama madawati.
In Kapturo Primary, only 50 pupils reported back to school upon reopening. When NTV visited the institution, learning was yet to resume. Most of the classes are empty. There's simply no learners to be taught. Some of the non-local teachers have sought transfers after the school was closed. 2 years ago, Kapturo Primary had more than 400 learners, but only 100 remained following massive displacement. The scenario is the same at the neighboring New Hope Academy. In this desolate place, every sunrise does not guarantee one the peace of watching the sunset, and Anne Gasuvi knows this only too well.
Tumevamiwa sasa mara 4 hapa area hii, na imekuwa ni shida, ile imekuwa shida, lakini ya mwaka huu kuanzia Disemba tarehe 8 nakumbuka vizuri, ilianzia sehemu zile za jirani zetu upande wa Kisumeti. Sasa hiyo nayo ikafanya na sisi upande huu tukaadhirika kiasi.
Anne is a Christian missionary who has served in the area for more than 20 years. She established New Hope Academy in 2004. The school hosts vulnerable pupils from surrounding communities. This place was full of life with children playing and singing, but today it's deserted.
Tulifungua Jumatatu na watoto 10. Na ni shule ambayo iko na watoto 100. Sasa hatujui wengine wako wapi. Hatuelewi watarudi ama watafanya kutakuwa namna gani.
The classrooms last enjoyed the warmth and laughter of pupils in January 2022.
Tulifunga kuanzia Januari. Tukajaribu kuendelesha na wanafunzi wale sasa tuna hosti hapa, lakini haiku-function vizuri. Sababu mara tukikaa tunasikia marisasi, watoto wanakimbia.
Health services in Kapturo have been hampered after the only hospital in the area was closed.
Tangu Disemba hatuna daktari. Ilipokuwa shida ilikuwa kubwa sana, daktari tuliyekuwa tumepewa akaenda. Hata mimi mwenyewe ndio niko na ufungumu, kitaka dawa ndaenda niwafungulie niwapenda. Maisha yetu hapa tumeishi katika hali ya kustuka. Na unaona hata tunajaribu kujikaza kabisa. Kwa sababu tuliona sasa kama sisi hapa sasa kwa mfano tukistuka hivyo na wale wengine wastuke, tukisema ni kuamuka kuenda, hii haitaitwa Kapturo tena. Ikifika saa 12 tumepika, tunaingia nyumba kama tuko na watoto kama wachache, unaona tumewatayarisha, tunaingia kwa nyumba na tunanyamaza. Hakuna kuweka torch kumulika, unaenda tu ukijaribu kutafuta njia mpaka uingie kwa nyumba ufunge.
And that reality is just part one of the situation. Atuanjoy Mukulima on Twitter saying, "What a shame, we are denying a whole generation a future just because of the so-called bandits." I'm seeing a lot of reaction. Continue engaging us on our social media platforms. The hashtag we're using this evening is Deserted Dreams. At NTV Kenya, at Rose Wangoi, at Zainab Ismail. Let's hear from you. And we'll be coming back with the second part after this break.
Every day, we make many choices. What time we wake up, what we eat, what we wear, where we go, and more. We think about the people in our lives and the many tomorrows that lie ahead. We think about being happy and how we can cherish every moment. A lifetime of the quality of life you deserve well into retirement and beyond. Because life is about making choices, let's make the right ones together. For now, for retirement, and everything in between. Choose how you live.
For an exclusive fragrance experience, try Nivea Men Deep Impact Body Lotion with a long-lasting woody fragrance, deep moisture, and a fresh skin feel. Make an impact with Nivea Men Deep Impact. Nivea Men, it starts with you.
Furahia maisha bora, linda jamii.
Banki imeconfirm pesa zimeingia. Congratulations Sam, gari ni lako sasa.
Shukran. Oi boss, si uniache insurance yako nitumie kabla nijipange.
We!
Insurance ya gari haiwezi kuwa transferred kwa mtu mwingine.
Sina habari na nikuulize, hii comprehensive insurance ina cover vitu gani?
Comprehensive Motor Insurance ina cover gari linapoharibika wakati wa ajali, pamoja na uharibifu wa mali ya mtu mwingine, gari likiibiwa au likichomeka. Pia ina cover passenger wa gari lako na passenger wa lile gari lingine kunapotokea ajali.
Kwani umenisahau mimi kama driver?
Dereva hakui covered na comprehensive insurance, ila anajitafutia personal accident cover.
Umenichanua. Rose, hata nishughulikie hiyo insurance, nitakujia gari kesho.
Okay, sawa.
Chukua bima leo.
1, 2, 3.
Furahia maisha bora.
Boresha maisha na bima. Kifo ni lazima, japo hakitabiriki. Pata bima ya matanga ili kuepuka na wasiwasi na michango isiyo na maana unapompoteza mpendwa wako. Bima hii husimamia gharama zinazohusiana na matanga. Pata bima ili kuhakikisha yote yatakuwa sawa.
Biashara yako. Chukua bima leo.
Kenya has come a long way in ICT development. The government set up the Universal Service Fund to bring communication services to remote and hard-to-reach parts of the country. We are ensuring that every Kenyan is connected to business, to better education, to better health.
What would you do with 20 million shillings? The biggest maximum payout per bet in Kenya. Kuwa mshindi. Fanya uamuzi. Mozart Bet.
The journey to the volatile Baringo South is unpredictable, bumpy and rough, and good preparation is key. The road meanders down a hill, giving a clear view of the beautiful Mairo Hills. Top on the hills, residents claim, is the home to daring bandits who have caused untold suffering to many here. Hardly a week goes without an incident of insecurity being reported. This has led to the closure of 10 primary and secondary schools. In the thick bushes at Muktani Ward stands Kapindasum Day and Boarding Primary School. The silence is deafening. No chance of young pupils who often fill the compound of this village school on a normal learning day. The school that was the dream of many today lies desolate, with many of its facilities gone to seed. Its buildings have fallen into disuse, some serving only as breeding sites for birds. It is the sad tale of how insecurity has ruined dreams and left schools in ruins in this part of the region. Armed bandits hit the school and villages around it, stealing cattle and destroying property. The only sign that it was a school are some torn exercise and textbooks strewn all over the floor. Some of the walls and windows of the classroom are scarred with bullet holes. The only sign of life being is that of police officers around the desolate structure in the middle of nowhere. In 2019, the school was closed indefinitely. It reopened in January 2021, but learning was paralyzed again in June.
The bandits came in the name of they want
to graze their animals there and probably get water in that particular nearby river. They start attacking people.
This sparked fear and anxiety. Pupils of Kapindasum primarily relocated to Chemarongyon, where they're currently being hosted. 2 years ago, Kapindasum Primary School had a normal population. With 500 pupils, this school at the heart of Baringo County boasted of being among the best in terms of pupil population. This was a clear indication that area residents had seen the need to embrace education for their children.
We are just having few, about 100 or even below. Ukienda kuangalia saa hii tana bado ni kidogo. Hata mimi saa hii nimeanza kureceive watoto wenye hawafiki 10. But again we still hope that maybe from next week tunaweza tasamia kwamba tunaweza pata wanafunzi. Kapindasum Primary is a really nice school. The environment is very okay, well okay. Maji iko hapo, permanent river, clean water, and the structures it was enough for us, including the boarding facility. Tuko shule mbili hapa, Kapindasum and Chemarongyon, the host. We are congested here. So tunafanya darasa, inakuwa ni darasa mchana, jioni inakuwa ni mahali pa kulala. Last time tulikuwa na power, lakini vile tulivorudi saa hii hapa hii area yote hakuna power. Na hiyo sasa ilikuwa inatusaidia aswa wakati wa masomo ya jioni tukiwa na hao wanafunzi.
The psychological toll of the fighting, from sleepless nights due to the sound of gunfire to the stress of knowing school buildings are in the line of fire, has been devastating.
Kama kuna hiyo maneno ya attacks, watoto wanaanza kulalamika tumbo. Most of them, hata ukienda kuangalia saa hii wako na shida ya ulcers. Sisi walimu pia tunaanza ku cancel.
Iko mtoto yangu kabisa, yeye siku ile risasi inatoka. Sasa yeye kichwa yake yamekuwa mbaya kwa shule. Sasa nasoma, yeye nasema hapana, naona mabitu kwa sauri imekaa kichwa yake hiyo kitu.
Residents claim that their lives have been turned upside down by the bandits who have also forced them to be refugees in their own land and reduced to paupers.
Hawa iko, naona hiyo milima. Hawa iko ile milima, wacha hii milima ya bande ile. Hawa naishi huko. Inapuruka sisi. Na kama hata mbuzi mbili inasika hiyo napeleka. Kama napata hata mapunda napeleka. Hakuna kitu napake. Karibu napeleka hata mtu binadamu. Hata watu napake hapa watu 4 tu peke yake.
During the KCPE exams, teachers had to trace 30 candidates who had been displaced.
When we were doing our KCPE, those people came around. They were around these hills, but we were being given security by GSU. The results were not bad. We had a mean score of 317. We were having about 30 students, and 23 of them managed to get 300 marks and above.
NTV crew was able to trace the top candidate, Wilson Kandie, who got 367 marks. Kandie has been camping outside Kabarnet High with his father. He's yet to be enrolled to the school because he does not meet the requirements for admission.
Nileta hapa tarehe 4 tukakuja kupiga shule, pesa kakuwa shida. Mpaka walimu wakasema rudi, enda tafuta pesa. Nikarudi tena, alafu asubuhi nikarudi kwa shule. Nikakuja tu maneno ni hivyo tu. Akasema rudi, enda tafuta pesa.
Kandie emerged the best student at Kapindasum Primary School. The security situation, he says, did not hinder him from performing well.
Siku mtihani ilitoka, nilikuwa nafurahia. Hata shule nilitiwa nilifurahia. Lakini kufikia siku ya kuripoti tu sikupata fees, kana hisi vibaya. Wengine wetu wameenda shule, lakini mimi nilikuwa nimebaki tu nyumbani.
The 15-year-old comes from Arapal in Baringo South. His parents lost more than 100 livestock to bandits last year.
Kwa sababu ni watu wote Arapal Chomola imekuwa masikini. ng'ombe imeenda, mbuzi imeenda, hata area watu wametawanyika kwa area kwenda. So sisi tu wengine tulienda Laikipia, na Laikipia tena ni area ya watu. Tuna mashamba ya kulima.
Isaac says his son would have done much better were it not for insecurity, adding that at the time of writing the exam, they were attacked.
Nilikuwa napenda kusoma, so niling'ang'ana ipo. Mara hata saa zingine nafunga na kuja mkuu na barabara ni riski.
Nili-apply hiyo vitu ya sponsorship, lakini sikupata.
Kandie, despite not having anything, is determined to give it a try and not let the chance go to waste.
Kwa sababu sina namna kabisa. Tuko kapo hivyo. Hakuna namna. Paka hata mimi nikastuka hata mtoto na nafikiria mbaya sana. Paka na nyamaza aongei.
Kandie has his sights set on becoming a doctor one day, but the beginning of that journey now hangs in the balance for this bright boy. Kasiela Primary School was shut down in March after the killing of 8 people in the area. Locals who fled the villages are yet to return to their homes, with the school-going children fearing more attacks from gun-toting criminals who are reportedly still roaming the deserted villages. Some of the learners have moved to safer areas more than 5 to 10 kilometers away, while others are being hosted at the homes of Good Samaritans, still pondering their next move. In Arabal Primary School, pupils have not been able to report back to school for the new term due to similar challenges. The school remained closed and villages deserted as raiders make the area inhabitable. At a time when many schools in the country are a beehive of activities, Sinoni Primary School has been shut down. The institution was closed indefinitely in March after a 17-year-old student was killed by bandits.
Aliweza kuuliwa hapa juu kwa milima. Watu walianza kutoroka kuelekea sehemu za Mochongoi, na hadi wa leo bado hawajarudi. Ukiangalia milima hii ni kama ni eneo ambaye bandits wanakuja kufanya yani viewing, kuona eneo hili ili waweze kuangalia vile watu wameanza kurudi na mali yao.
Sinoni Primary posted one of the worst performances in the 2021 KCPE exams. The best student scored 255 marks out of the possible 500 marks. Only 4 students managed to attain over 200 marks. The school had 27 registered students, with the last candidate scoring only 46 marks out of 500.
Unapoangalia matokeo yao si kwa kupenda kwao, ni vile area imekuwa affected na maneno hii ya insecurity.
Sinoni Secondary School has never reopened. Students are still at home waiting for their fate as their villages are insecure. The center also remains deserted. Only the young men have remained behind in order to secure the area. Many people are not willing to go back to their homes. They claim the bandits are unpredictable and could strike any time.
Askari ama security officers wakiwekwa ama wakiwa deployed area hii, watu wataanza kurudisha wanafunzi ili waendelee na masomo yao.
At least 14 schools in Baringo County have been closed down this year alone, owing to heightened banditry in Baringo North and Baringo South. The county is staring at an education crisis as the fate of more than 5,000 learners is unknown. The future of thousands of children, now deprived of their right to education, is under threat.
When we were closing the schools last time, 8 schools had already vacated their compounds and due to bandit attack. As we opened the schools, the situation has not changed. 6 of the schools cannot open because 2 are vandalized. Kabindasum and Arabal primary schools were vandalized by the bandits, and they are occupying them. In fact, they are staying in the compounds. And 4 other schools are actually parents moved away, so the children cannot come because there are no parents.
Stakeholders in the education sector have warned that most schools are likely to close down while others will end up overpopulated. This is despite the reducing number of teachers in the region, as some seek transfers and others resign, fearing for their lives due to insecurity.
In the real sense, the practice of real learning, coverage of syllabus,
has always been strained. And when candidates are sitting for an exam, maybe they could be halfway the coverage of their syllabus because they have been in and out. And others, as they run to the neighboring school, maybe they will get them ahead of where they were, and therefore they will skip almost some topics and they cannot cover.
When we met the stakeholders, parents and parents of these schools, they were encouraged to go back to their areas as the bandits had already moved. But they are reluctant to go back. That is why the children have not reported to school.
The longer children remain out of school, the less likely they are to return.
What has happened in Baringo? Can we not really get a solution? For how long can these people cry?
Watoto mingi wamewacha shule kwa sababu ya hii kitu. Watoto wamekwenda Tanga, Marekani, wapi, Mchongoi, wapi, kila pale. Hii watoto ya area kwa sauri hakuna nini, hakuna usalama.
The residents complain that the government has been talking tough on the insecurity menace ravaging the region, but has done little to address their plight.
I actually do not see why schools in Baringo should not open. I used to be told that, there was a threat that our children will not do exams. All our children who are sitting for KCP in Baringo sat for KCP. All our children who are sitting for KCSE sat for KCSE. The perennial conflict between the communities in that area are being addressed, and they have been addressed. We are seeing the scale of those challenges going down, and we believe that with the development responses the government is making in that area, that will soon be a thing of the past.
Less than 10 soldiers in a school is not enough, because these raiders come not in dozens, not in 20s, not in 30s, but over 50 with the sophisticated weapons.
Kwa mfano kama wakati tulikuwa na hiyo shida, tulikuwa na askari wawili. Sasa wakati ile walikuwa kileta mambo na operation ilikuwa afadhali. Sasa hawa askari wawili ndio tumepambana na wao. Wakisikia huku wanakimbia huko, ikilia upande huu wanarudi huku, waraia wanatoroka.
Inaona serikali sasa karibu hata wanakopa. Lakini tu inajaribu. Kama hapana hii kitu hii inaitwa nini? Hii kuparu. Hata serikali imeenda.
There are two schools that currently survive because the police are stationed inside them. So the children feel secure, the parents around there feel secure because they see the police around them every time. But where the police are far from the school, it is they are afraid.
Kwa serikali ya Kenya waweze tu watupatie NBR ya kutosha. Simple. It's as simple as that. And I can assure you for the 2 years tulikuwa na NPR, there was peace in our society.
The challenges will not end today or even tomorrow. And the question is not whether or not we will face challenges. The question is whether or not we are prepared to deal with those challenges and mobilize the good of our people to move forward and live peacefully. And I am satisfied with the work that our colleagues are doing in Baringo.
Some schools will need to be rebuilt after they were vandalized by the bandits.
We will also continue to work with our colleagues in the education sector. There are about 10 schools that have been affected before. We want to make sure that normalcy resumes in those schools. We are going to work with the local communities to rebuild the schools.
This insecurity challenge has effectively denied pupils and students one of their fundamental rights, education, and the effects on this region are likely to be felt many months, if not years, down the line. Rozongoi, NTV.